Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And so, yeah, here's a video for you guys and what my initial thoughts are of the Revvl V Plus 5G. This is a pretty interesting phone, and that's the reason why I wanted to pick one up. But I hear people talking some good things about it, people talking some bad things about it, and I was like, the only way I'm really gonna know is if I actually get my hands on one and actually use it. So I'm just gonna give you guys what my initial thoughts are. And yeah, of course, it's not a Pixel, so something different on the channel. But I gotta tell you guys, even though it's not a Google Pixel phone, this phone's surprisingly pretty decent. I have to give it that. Of course, there's some caveats to it, and I'm going to start off with them on the things that I don't like about the Revvl V Plus 5G. First one is going to be the speaker. The speaker is a squawk box. Now, while you can hear your music and videos pretty loud on this thing, at the same time too, it's got a very hollow sound to it, and so it can kind of be a turn off, especially if you're like watching movies and stuff like that. It's just gonna sound kind of weird. At least it's loud though, that you can hear, the audio coming from it. So that's pretty decent. And like, I guess I'm so spoiled by Pixels because I was thinking that the top earpiece was also going to be like a speaker too, but it's not. So it's not stereo speakers, at least not what I'm hearing. That doesn't sound like stereo speakers to me. Another thing is that teardrop cutout for the selfie cam. Like, I mean, they could have just literally done a hole punch like they did on the previous model, the Revvl 5G. I just don't understand why they did that. That just looks, I don't know. That's just me. Some of these things are nitpickiness from me. So if it doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. You're not wrong if it doesn't bother you. But that's just what I feel like is like a caveat to me. Like I wouldn't have minded a hole punch. That's just me. But at least this ain't too bad looking. It's not like a really big notch or anything like that. So thank heavens for that. Okay, the size is going to be a make or break for some people. If you're not into big phones, don't get this one. This is a big phone. I can tell you guys that much. Now, if you want a big phone, then you're going to like it because there's a lot to view here. The launcher I have on here is not the stock launcher for it. It's the nothing launcher that I have on here. So don't look at this launcher and say, oh, cool, that's what the phone has. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I customize it to that. However, the cameras is a hit or miss for me. So there's some good to it, there's some bad to it. The good thing about the cameras is that it takes pretty decent pictures, especially with good lighting. But the caveat, which is what I'm working on right now, not worried about, but working on right now in this part of the video, is that when you're taking videos with the selfie cam up front, it's going to be very dark and hazed and fuzzy in low light conditions. So like, yeah, you guys can see a video sample I posted up on the channel. That was taken from the selfie cam. But if you're in good lighting, then the camera is pretty decent. Now, as far as like camera stabilization, it doesn't really work that well with this phone. I've taken some photos and some of it got pretty noisy around the edges and blurred, and that's not a very good thing. But the camera does have a few modes on here that you can play around with, which is a good thing. So I'll get into that a little bit later. I would say that's probably, some of the things that I just didn't like about this phone. The things that I do like, or what I found shocking and surprising, first of all, was the MediaTek processor that it has in here. I was surprised to see that it was actually pretty good. It was decent for a lot of the things I threw at it. And wait, there is one other thing that I didn't like about this phone, and it has to do with the processor, so that's how I was reminded of it. But that would be, it doesn't keep up with my typing on Gboard. Like, I can type pretty fast. And on my Google Pixels, it picks up every keystroke that I do. But on this phone, I guess I go so fast that it can't keep up, that some of the words aren't fully spelled because it missed some of the key punches in the middle of my texting, which kind of is annoying. On the other side of that, back to the processor, is that a lot of things that I do, and I'm not a very big power user, so a lot of things that I do, it handled it pretty well, which really surprised me because I'm very used to like, these MediaTek chips to kind of start showing their lag with how I use my phones and stuff like that. So that's where I get the idea to say, like, if the chip is good or if it's bad, if it's efficient or powerful. I give all that based upon how I use my phone and see how it responds, and it's responding very well. So I'll give it to the Revvl V Plus 5G and the MediaTek processor. It's actually pretty good. It is running an older version of Android. That could be a hit or miss for some people. For me, I think those that didn't like the Material UI are going to actually appreciate it from this phone as it's running Android 11. It hasn't got an Android 12, so that is a caveat too, but it's also one that probably is beneficial for those who don't like Android 12. So you still get like, you know, this style for the notification quick settings, which some people prefer that than the Dr. Mario pills that you find on Android 12 and Android 13. And like I said, I was surprised with the chip. I was also surprised with the cameras too, and like some of the photos that I took were actually really decent and good. You just have to have a very steady hand with this. I would definitely recommend like family portraits and stuff like that. Definitely get a tripod and like have this on a tripod so that way you have some good stability to take that shot. Any slight movement with the camera and you're bound to get like a fuzzy shot. So you see as I'm moving it how it kind of gets a little stuttery, janky, and like, yeah, that's not a very good thing. So if I'm like just kind of just like trying to keep it still and snap a photo, and let's look at that photo. And if you look right here, you can see it got a little fuzzy. Everything else pretty much like mellowed out, so that's pretty decent of it. Yeah, video recording is going to be okay with, again, ample lighting. The rear cameras do pretty good with a little bit of low light, but the selfie cam is really struggling when making videos. I can make videos with this device. You guys can see I have Power Director right there. I've actually made one video and edited it on here, and it did fairly okay, the best that it could. But yeah, as far as like if I was to compare like rendering a video on this that was 10 minutes long in 1080p versus my Pixel 6, my Pixel 6 renders a video much faster. So but that again has to do with the chip on what it's able to handle as far as the workload that's given to it to process. So got to keep it there. At the end of the day, this is a budget device. This is not a flagship device. So let me just make that very clear to a lot of people. If you're looking at this and you're like, oh, well, it's a big phone and maybe I can like, you know, make me feel like that I have the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Don't waste your time. This is not what it's for. This is not to be a replacement for a Samsung Galaxy S series. This is not a replacement to a Google Pixel. This is not a replacement to an iPhone. This is a budget device. This is going to give you bare minimum a great experience at a very low cost. Currently right now at Metro with a new line of service, or bringing your number over to Metro and you get this phone for free. You just got to pay the taxes. And you have to pay for your first month's plan. So it's a free phone. Okay, which this is leaps and bounds more powerful than free phones we used to get back in 2012. I'll tell you that. It's a refreshing type of thing. It's kind of like drinking water to clear your palate so you can try a different dish and appreciate the flavors you're tasting. Because while this is not a Google Pixel phone and it doesn't have a lot of the features that I'm spoiled to having, it's still a fun experience for me to use something like this and to be able to see like how companies are looking at building smartphones and their ideas, designs, and things like that that could be captivating for an audience to look at and say, hey, I want that phone. Yeah, it's got the tramp stamp on the back with the T-Mobile logo, but this is T-Mobile's phone. The Revvl is their phone, like the Solero 5G is Dish and Boost Mobile's phone. Why not have your logo on it? Is it something that's a hindrance for me? No, I mean, the logo is not gonna like stop me from having a good experience on it. And anyone that doesn't like T-Mobile can just snuff it up their back end, because I'm not worried about what people like and don't like. It's what I like. And in this one, if I'm gonna rate it, which you guys probably never heard me rate a phone before, I'm gonna rate this one out of you know, between 1 and 10, out of you know, 10 being like the best. I'm gonna lock this phone in at a 6.5. So it's very good at some of the things that I wanted to do, but it lacks in certain areas, and some things just didn't pan out right for it. But it's not a bad phone. 6.5. It's not a bad phone at all. And can you make it stand up? Yes, you absolutely can. So that is my I guess first impressions, quick full review on it. Let me know what you guys think. This is not a new phone, by the way. This is an older model. It's about a year old, but it's new to me. And so yeah, for those who want to know my take on it, now you know it. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, aloha.